Institute for Financial Management and Research, Chennai. He set up a new campus of IFMR Business School at Sri City. He is founding Vice Chancellor of Skyline University, Nigeria. He was also the Dean at IMT Ghaziabad, a premier business school of the country. Dr. Biswas has several institutions for national and international accreditations like AACBS, SAQS, and NBA. He is well versed with regulatory institutions, being both with government and private sector institutions. To his credit, Dr. Biswas has 55 plus research projects, 50 research papers, and 6 books. He had consulting assignment with World Banks, Asian Development Banks, UN agencies, and several other international agencies, and both Government of India and state governments as well. His research focus areas include public policy, rural finance, corporate social responsibility, sustainability, social entrepreneurship, microfinance, livelihood, so on and so forth. He is also the member of several national and international professional institutions. He has been awarded extensively for his leadership in academics and research. Some which are highlighted by me here are Times of India Group awarded as educator and trailblazer in 2014, Gold Award for Academic Leadership in Research at IIM Ahmedabad in the year 2016, Citation for 100 Most Dedicated Professors by World Education Congress in 2018, Award for the work on cutting edge work in preparing talent for the future at the 4th edition of Industrial Academic Conference in 2020. Thank you, sir. I once again welcome you on this technical session. We have another young and dynamic participant here, Dr. Ankur Arun, sorry. We have one among the esteemed Vice Chancellors here, Dr. Ankur Arun Kulkarni, Vice Chancellor of Sage University, Indore. He has more than 35 years of academic experience. He is a court member of IISc Bangalore. His achievement includes Honorable Governors of Maharashtra nominee for Savitribai Phule University, Pune. He is the former Vice Chancellor of Sri Rawatpura Sarkari University, Raipur. Former Vice Chancellor of GSFC University, Vadodara. Academician and researcher with PhD on full scholarship from world's 12th ranked university, Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. He has total 35 years of academic experience. This includes 8 years as a Vice Chancellor, 10 years as a principal, and having experience of working with premier institutions globally. He has published more than 100 research articles and worked on the Ministry of Defense Singapore project at Protective Technology Research Center, participated in the field of explosion test of Australia at Boomera, more than 8 years of experience as Vice Chancellor, working in various research areas which includes protective structures, structural dynamics, game theory, and concrete technology. I welcome you here, sir. We have, the young and dynamic Dr. Rajendra Tripathi, who is representing the British Council here. Dr. Tripathi, who is based in Calcutta, West Bengal, is currently working as an assistant director at British Council, a division of British Deputy High Commissioner. He brings a lot of experience from his previous roles at Oracle, IBM, Intel Corporation, and Intel India Technology Private Limited. Dr. Tripathi holds a 2016 Indian School of Business award with him, with a robust skill set that includes program management, project planning, vendor management, corporate social responsibility analysis, and more. I welcome you to this technical session here, sir. Now I hand over this session to Professor Nilima Gupta, madam, to conduct the proceeding. Thank you, ma'am.
The General President of Association of Indian Universities, Professor G.D. Sharma, a renowned figure in academics who has held many terms as Vice Chancellor, and right now he is the General President of Association of Indian Universities. Dr. Pankaj Mittal, who is the Secretary General of Association of Indian Universities, a dynamic woman, and she has also been Vice Chancellor of a woman university for 2 terms, has played very active role in University Grants Commission, and now as we all see that from the past 5 years, she has made revolutionary changes in Association of Indian University. We have a number of other Vice Chancellors who have come from the Central Zone and elsewhere. the faculty members of Guru Ghasidas University. I know you have taken a lot of pains to organize this meet, which has been conducted very successfully. And above all, we have also the office bearers of Association of Indian University and the eminent speakers, which the names and their brief CV was just shared with you. Professor P.K. Biswas, who is the Vice Chancellor of Jagran Lake City University from Bhopal. Dr. Ankur Arun Kulkarni, who is the Vice Chancellor of Sage University from Indore. And Sri Rajendra Tripathi from the British Council, who is also with us. This very session, which we are holding here today, which happens to be the third technical session organized by the Central Zone of Association of Indian Universities, will be focusing on innovative funding models for research. Well, this very topic which we are going to discuss will focus on how we can develop funds for research, because we know that whenever we talk about research, the main constraint which we come to hear of is that we do not have sufficient funds. So who is responsible? Is it the government who is responsible? Are we at the university level responsible? Or are the faculty members who themselves they want to do research, they have to do something about it. So we have to think very gravely about these issues. And many a times we find, if we see the data of across the world, that how different countries are focusing on the expenditure on research, we find that there is a variation all across in different countries. Right now, although India is spending about 2.6% on of its GDP on education, but for research right now the figure is about 4.4%. But it has to be increased, because if we just try to analyze our researchers in India and those who are working in other countries, we find that many of our Indian scientists or researchers, they are doing very good work in other countries. So what should we do so that we can promote research in our country, and this brain drain can be stopped, and the quality of research which is being done by our scientists, by our researchers in other countries, they can be promoted to develop in our country, that is Bharat. So let us now try to think on these things. In the end, I will just try to summarize with my own views. But before that, I think it is important that we should listen to our learned speakers who are present here, who have come specially for this purpose, who will be talking about how innovative funding models for research can be developed. I know it's a very interesting topic, because all of us want to do research, all of us want to do good publications, all of us want to stand in the international limelight. And every year also we are looking at those 2% scientists who are being selected all over the world. And I see that the numbers are also rising from different universities. We have also different funding agencies. I will just, we may talk about it later. But one of them, we find the British Council is sitting here. And let me share that a few years back, I also had the privilege to avail one of these facilities from the British Council, where I visited UK, and about 1 university per day. So the prospects of development there also are very high, and we always have a dream as how we can visit this country. So it may be research which we are doing here or in other countries. Maybe we are going for some projects, big projects, small projects, getting projects here, innovative projects, collaborative projects. How do we have to proceed? So let us first listen to our learned speakers, and then of course we can summarize them. And of course we are going to have some very good interaction, because we want more of your questions, which our learned speakers can answer, and we can derive some very good conclusions and recommendations which can be taken forward. So with these words, I hear that Dr. Ankur Arun Kulkarni, he has a flight earlier. So if the other speakers don't mind, may I invite him first to express his views, and then we can move on to Professor P.K. Biswas. So with this, I invite Dr. Ankur Arun Kulkarni to express his views on innovative funding models for research. I'll be grateful if you just tell the audience what area will you be focusing on, and you can get your questions ready. We can take them up later. Thank you very much.
Am I audible now? Am I audible? Thank you. Respected respected Nilima Gupta Madam, Vice Chancellor and Chair of this session, Professor Biswas, Mr. Tripathi, otherly figure of AIU, Professor GD Sharma ji, dynamic Pankaj Mittal Madam, Pankaja Mittal Madam, and all other dignitaries. I'm going to talk briefly about innovative research funding model. Now, in my presentation, in the initial part, I will touch about the research models which are successfully implemented across the globe. Two models I will talk. Also, I will talk briefly about the research models which at SAGE we have initiated. So like this, we will discuss, because as Chairperson Madam has rightly emphasized, that funding is an important thing for any research. And every researcher faces the problem. So whenever we are undertaking the research, there are few things which we will have to keep in our minds. Among that, these research models helps us in, I think it's not working. So whenever we are considering any research model, we have to explore, because that is the role of that research model. It supports, promotes the research activities. So based on our research topic, we have to align that with that particular research model. And these are the various sources which also I have enlisted, which are well sources which you can get, because these are the, this information is available at your fingertip also. Among that, yesterday during the question answer session also, a question was asked to respected Mittal Madam by one of the esteemed Vice Chancellor, that there is a discrepancy as far as research funding is concerned in between the state or government universities as well as the private universities. But there are these number of sources. Among that, very few are the government sources, and majority of the funding which currently the researchers are receiving are from other sources also. I would not like to read, but there is a VC, venture capitalist. They are also funding. We are finding out the various research. Just take example of our COVID-19 pandemic, during which lot of research took place on vaccination, and during which some of that research was not funded by the government, because it was having the potential of revenue generation. It was having the potential of making the life of common people comfortable. So in a shortest duration, this funding took place from various private agencies. So it depends upon our area. If it is a topic which is a need of that time, then any funding agency will come forward and will fund our research ideas. So then there are private foundations, philanthropists, international organizations, various competitions. So this is the list of those. Let's come to next. Now, whenever we are talking about this funding models, its basic objective is I have listed. And yesterday there was a good interactive session which took place, and that was the third, that is foster collaborations. Because it is essential that unless and otherwise there is a collaboration and alignment of the objective, research funding will never take place. And that collaboration should take place in such a homogeneity that it will serve the purpose of the researchers as well as the sponsoring authorities. And the rest of the objective of the funding models are also listed here. Mainly, diversification of the funds, identifying the need of the time, and then with collaboration, attaining the desired goals. Next. Next. These are the two models I have listed here. Both are from abroad. One is the National Science Foundation, which is successful as far as USA is concerned. And as the introduction, it was mentioned that I worked with the Ministry of Defense for research. So naturally, I have taken one funding model of the Ministry of Defense. That is also from USA. So again, this research model also believes in alignment of its objective along with the researcher's objective. Once it is aligned, then it enters into the funding model, and mainly it believes in the open and transparent system. And because of that, this model is highly successful. The next, this another model which I am talking, next, is related with defense. If it is not, नेक्स्ट नहीं हो रहा है नहीं इसमें तो नहीं हो रहा शुरू से ही उन्हीं की मदद ले रहे हैं डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया क्या नहीं चलने दो ओके सो as far as the next model which is will come soon on the slides, it is the DARPA model, that is the related with defense. Because what happens that there is a large magnitude of funding, especially in defense, is available. And we are very lucky that since last almost 5 years, India, under the leadership of our dynamic Prime Minister, has opened the doors for defense research. I have met one of the entrepreneur in Nagpur 6 months ago. Sir must be knowing, Chaudhary sir must be knowing his name also, who is as far as Ramdev Baba Institute is concerned, he is a promoter of the patron of that. So he is working along with the research and development of the required defense systems which are exported across the globe. Yes. Thank you, sir. So this DARPA model, which is successful abroad, is now taking place in India also, as we are becoming the global leader as far as defense research and defense ammunition and other technology production is concerned. And we are very competitive in that area also. But it is having a large number of funding, very high magnitude of funding, but it involves high risk, but at the same time, high rewards. It is a very volatile market. It gives you large amount of returns also. Next. Now these are the summary of prominent funding models which are available. And among that, I am going to talk about the open access, open science initiative, seed funding and startup incubator, challenge-based funding, and mission-driven funding. So I will discuss about mission-driven funding, which will be in alignment with the SAGE, whatever we are doing. Okay, please next. These are the recent initiatives which has taken place. Among that, some are globally, and I would like to highlight the Indian research funding models which has evolved in recent times. This one is the NSF, which earlier we have discussed. Without deadlines, continuous funding is available, subjected to the changing scenario globally. The next, this is BIRAC, which is also biological research agency, which is also providing the large amount of funding, which is also a latest development. And another next, this is NRF. So 50,000 crores of rupees, the funding is available with NIRF also. Next. And this is what I was telling, that private entrepreneurs are also entering in the research funding. And this is a Nippon India Mutual Fund. Earlier, nobody has imagined that mutual fund will be also funding for the research. But now the VCs are entered, venture capitalist has entered in this research funding. And there is a mutual fund which funds for the research activity also. Next. Now, the basic question after that, why we are undertaking the research. Madam has rightly emphasized that whenever we want to have the ranking, because if we are going for QS, for NAC, everywhere the research publication, research grants, specifically grants received from government agencies, is a parameter which decides our rankings. But beyond that, our goal as a researcher has to be beyond that, because the research basically, yesterday also Kothari has emphasized and very categorically pointed out that the research is not taking place in reviving the Indian problems. He has given the example of blood card. So our goal of research and funding has to be facilitating the common man, solving the basic problems of the humanity. And based on that, if that is the vision and mission of the research, then naturally there will be large magnitude of funding also will be available. I would like to take a sip of water. So there is a challenges which are faced by the private and state and central universities, because everyone feels that the grass is on the green is on the other side. Means state and government universities feel that private universities are enjoying, they are progressing, they are having very good infrastructure, they don't have any dearth of money. At the same time, private universities feel that government universities get funding from the government agencies, they don't get the funding. I'm luckily I sit on, just they have introduced that I sit on 3 board of managements of state universities, and I am a vice chancellor of one private university which is just ranked as A+ 1 month ago. So definitely every vice chancellor, whether he is on this side or on that side, is having his own challenges, own problems. He has to overcome that. And as far as research funding is concerned, definitely both are having the different challenges and both are different opportunities. So I would like to talk about the next, about the Sage University. See, this is, if somebody asks me that in a one sentence, how you can define. So it is a honeybee model. Honey hai to money hai, money hai to honey hai. So this model is honeybee model. That if you are having a honey, then bees will come in search of you. Now we are having awards of Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan. Honorable our Prime Minister searches the people who are working at remote places. Rahi Pera, who is a lady of 80-year-old who is working on seed conservations in Maharashtra, was awarded as Padma Shri. So if you are doing some work for the society, then definitely the financiers and the corporates will run behind you. So if you will create a honey, then bees will come. So we are having a model, simple model, that we will have a honey and bees will come to us. And this is our one simple success story I'm sharing with you, that we have started with a very simple, because we are having uh, multi domains available in our campus. So we have developed agro-mechanical tools, which yesterday Kothariji was mentioning that nobody's working in that direction. So we have initiated, and since last 2-3 years, we have taken very simple, small examples, that this is a crop transplant device for a small peasant. It will help. It is, all these are patented. Next. This another which we have developed. Is it possible to go next? This is a seed feeder machine. You will find that these are very raw, crude, because these are, we have developed with the available resources. We don't have it polished because we were believing in honey. We were producing the honey. Next. This is during the pandemic, most of the universities has also done. We have developed this glassage. Next. This is a patented stevia coated fennel with mint, because those who are having diabetes, naturally they have to take sugar free. Next is a sugar coated tea may be there, stevia green tea. So that also patented. So we have started working on the problems which common people face, and we have started working in it. We have developed some micro level groups, and these are not very big things which we have done. With the available resources, these small things we have done. Next. These are the free Sanjivani pain relief ointment, herbal tea. Next. Rose aloe moisturizer, aloe moisturizing cream. Next. These are Triphala Churna, Sitopladi Churna, Amla Churna. Next. Sanjivani Dhara, Sanjivani Chawanprash. Next. So these are the glossary. And now, once we were having the honey, bees started coming. Now we are having the entry of Patanjali. Officially, we are the partner with Patanjali, and Dr. Sanjeev Khanna makes a point to visit our university at least once in a 2 months, who is the chief executive officer of Patanjali. We are having our local, means they have established their center in Sage, because they have realized कि यहाँ honey hai. Now these products you will get under the banner of Patanjali. You can order it and you can get it. So basically, there are various models which people have developed. We have worked across the globe, but everybody has to evolve his own model depending upon his strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. So we have tried to develop it with, because we were not sure whether other people will come, but as we have started generating the honey, connecting the honey, the bees have started coming. And now Imami has approached us last week only, Mr. Agarwal. Next. So like this, it was my brief presentation regarding the models of funding. Innovative models, innovation is such a borderless thing. Everybody can evolve, bring the different things, and make this life of the common people more and more comfortable using their own wisdom, capabilities. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I would like to request if you are having any questions. Yes, sir, please.
Hello, Professor Kulkarni. You have
Thank you, sir.
given a nice exposition of innovative research models. I would like to have your comments on, you said that you have honey and bees will come. Whereas I understand that it is the bees only who produce the honey.
Yes, you are right. But you are very correct. You are very correct. But if you are having the flowers.
If you have honey, then there is no need to run after the bees.
Yes, you are very correct.
Right. Number two.
I would like to correct that we are having the flowers and bees will come.
Yeah, I think that is
pluck that honey. Yes, you are very correct. I have given just a schematic or just a.
That is fine. That is fine. My second question is that your talk was based on innovative research funding models,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I think you have more or less gone with the realm of conventional, fundings which are available. In your opinion, in one line, if you have to say that this is the innovative research funding model which has been either developed or conceived or, realized at Sage University, I would appreciate that. Can you please?
Yes, correct, sir. I'm very happy to answer your point. Very rightly, sir has pointed out that what is the innovative things? Because uh, one thing is there that we are identifying the problems of the society. Because whatever the agromechanical tools, it is not a very big thing. But when we are talking, we are identifying the problems because the peasants who are having 1 acre or 2 acre lands, they cannot afford to have the more what we say mechanized farming. Because if you have to hire the tractor also, or if you have to maintain the bullocks also, it requires a lot of cost. And so to address their difficulties, these few agromechanical tools which a common man can use has been evolved.
Well,
Yes.
Dr. Kulkarni, I think he is trying to answer about the practices which he has been adopting at Sage University. And I think, Dr. Sab, can you please introduce yourself?
Ravindranath Tagore University, Bhopal.
Very nice. So Dr. Rajnikanth had a few questions to Professor Kulkarni. And of course, what his concern is that we already know about the funding which is available in different areas.
Yeah.
But since this session is based on innovative ideas, as to what innovative ideas can we additionally have to promote research, and in that context, I think you have tried to give the best practices which are being followed at Sage University. Any other questions?
Madam, one just,
Yes.
Yeah.
thank you. I think your presentation is well taken. You have given 2-3 models, very, very useful. But what would be useful is whatever models we are practicing right now, we are available for the Indian universities. Is there a way, it's to the panel,
Okay.
is there a way we can analyze them and make suggestions about how to improve those models so that the funding is diversified? Yesterday, one Kulkarni Saab was telling the local issues. Suppose I take a local issue. The funding must be available at the local level. Probably the national agencies which are doing the funding, probably they are not taking that bit of local, the geographical considerations. Is there any way we can suggest, particularly AIU, if you can suggest to the national funding agencies, that would be very useful. Thank you.
Yeah, sir has rightly pointed out, because many times what happens that if it is not a universal problem, then the funding agencies are not tempted to invest in that. And definitely those problems may be very vital for that particular region. You are very correct, sir. So for that, I think the government agencies definitely considers such isolated, because in that the entrepreneur or corporates may not be interested, as it is a very localized problem.
Again, I'll request you to please introduce yourself.
I am Professor Nagaraju, Vice Chancellor, GM University, Sambalpur. Thank you.
Okay. So I think what his concern here is that how at the local level, because we know that there are government provisions where the funds can be supplied to different universities and all. But here at this Vice Chancellor's conference, what would you like to suggest to the audience here, to the different Vice Chancellors, that in addition to that, at the local level, how can we increase the funding? So in case you have any specific answer for that, Professor Kulkarni?
Yes, definitely what I have told earlier, that the corporate or industries, as it is a localized problem, they may not come. The big players may not come. But there are, in the list which I have shown, there are philanthropists, the local philanthropists which support with a broader vision. to solve the problem of a common people in that particular region. And if such charitable trust and philanthropists and the government agencies, this only will be the funding for those particular regional problems.
I think he has a point in that, because the local issues may be different in different areas. Suppose there is a tribal area where research is focused on tribes. There is a seashore area where most of the research is based on the sea or the riverside or mountain hills or anywhere. So I think we should look into these local issues, and I think it is none other than we ourselves who could come up with ideas and then propose them, say, to AIU or to the government agencies. Yes, any other question, please?
I am Professor Swami from Indira Gandhi Agriculture University. And just I compliment that Sage University is doing wonderful work for farmers, especially from agriculture side. I am concerned and I am little bit sensitized also with the developments which you are doing in your university. Just have small query whether at your own in-house experiments, those small agriculture implements for mechanization, you are doing it, are getting any funding from your state or any other for this development of this designing local equipments which are agriculture implements which are useful for farmers?
Yes, so for these instruments which you are using,
Yeah,
did you get any funding?
Sir, very nice question and thanks for your compliments also. But as far as solving the problems of peasant is concerned, these whatever the products which or the equipments which I have shown, these are made within the university because these are at a very minor level. But as far as big research work which we are carrying out, the Aisha has come forward, Aisha Indore. They have taken the initiative for funding us for major instrumentation or mechanization. But our major emphasis is not on mechanization. Whatever yesterday Honorable Kothari has mentioned, that the problem of the common farmers, peasants, because if a larger farmer who is having a agricultural land in a 10, 100 or 200 acres, he is having all the resources. The problem is of a small farmers, because they are the people who are subjected to various calamities, and they are the people who need actually help from this research.
So that's very nice. We are glad that you're getting help from other organizations. But I think we should also look into the aspect as to how, you talked about the small farmers. So these farmers, they don't have any funding. And sometimes they may have the talent, the caliber to create something new. But can the universities come forward in that?
Yes, we are having the groups of farmers education. Means our agriculture institute relentlessly work in that. Means there are the teams which gets educated, and whatever the results of our experiment, that we share along with that, so they can take the necessary precautions, and they can take the advantages of these developments. Also, we are having the one radio channel 89.6 Sage FM, which is Sage, which always having the regular connections with the farmers.
Sir, I will give one suggestion. If you think that it will be possible to collaborate with State Agriculture Department, definitely these small equipments get popularized among small peasants, which will be helpful for the farmers of the entire state of the region. And this is my sincere suggestion for you, sir. If you can collaborate with State Agriculture, it will really benefit the stakeholders. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's a good idea, and some collaborations can be developed between the universities and the government. It would be wonderful, because we can mutually we can be benefited. So with this, I thank Professor Kulkarni for his very wonderful talk, and to share with us some of the best practices which they are doing at the university, and also what are the different types of innovative ideas which can be taken up in future for the advancement of research. Thank you very much. So may I now call upon our next speaker, who is Professor P.K. Biswas, the Vice Chancellor of Jagran University, Lake City University from Bhopal. So he'll now express his views on innovative funding models for research. Dr. Biswas.
Yeah, thank you, our esteemed chairperson and my fellow panelists on the desk, and of course, the other side, respected Vice Chancellor and other dignitaries. I think I'll pick up from three key words which were discussed yesterday. One was Anusandhan, as said by the Honorable Governor. And then there was a talk about land to lab instead of lab to land. And third key issue is the contribution to the society. In what way the researchers of the universities or other organizations can. On these three key words, I will try to present something, and I'll narrate 2-3 experiences which I have had in different institutions. Basically, what Professor Kulkarni has done, he has spoke about the defense research organization and the scientific organization. I'll be more into the development sector because that is where my 40 years experience in the development sector. Basically, next. Yeah, this is the basic context in which we are discussing. The basic theme of the this conference is nurturing research and innovations. And why are you doing it? Of course, a lot of people have said, what is the context has been said. Why are you doing? Is it only for branding? Is it only for ranking? Or is it only for doing something? Or is it for the society? That's an important thing. And one has to prioritize because many different universities are at different stages. I think certain universities also require accreditation. Certain universities also require ranking. Certain universities also require that they are doing something for the society. So accordingly, the suitable plan has to university, like somebody in the beginning, somebody said, research should be in our thought process, right from the faculty to the vice chancellor, in the all cutting across the hierarchy. I think if you are on the same page, only then research will move forward. Because so far, whether you like it or not, with regards to all my colleagues and myself, we have been focusing mostly on this teaching. Research was not in our blood initially. But I think that is the kind of ecosystem is changing, and we have to, with the changing times, you also have to change. Next is next. Yeah, basically, we have to that again, as NEP says, multidisciplinary. I'm very happy that he is from defense, and here my friend is from British Council Funding Agency. So we have to think where we can collaborate. There are multidisciplinarity should come. Different disciplines cutting across. Even research teams can be of different disciplines. Say, for example, in a university, there is a faculty of law, there is a faculty of media, there is a faculty of management. I think why can't these three departments can collaborate? And secondly, there is Sage University, there is RNT University, there is some other university, there is Sage University. Why can't they collaborate? They can bring in that kind of a multidisciplinarity, different kind of things. And I think one of the presentations yesterday was about collaborative research yesterday. Okay. Cross-disciplinary, integrating, enhancing leadership skill. This is where Vice Chancellor would have to play a role, and holistic program. This is as per our NEP goal. Next, please. Yeah, this needs to be integrated to faculty workload also. It's very, very important that we also shift our attention from teaching to research, training, and of course consulting. And that is, I've not mentioned, but that is there. And also we should emphasize on why we do research. Not only you should do research, it should be also disseminated. And how will you do? Through peer-reviewed journals, where people can know what is happening in Indore, what is happening in Bhopal, what is happening in Bilaspur, what is happening elsewhere. So that's very, very important. So impact of research, as he says, honey bee or bee honey, whatever way you want to talk. What is important is that your impact of research is if it is not felt, you will not get funding. As simple as that. So it is very, very important for us to understand that whatever research we do, not for upgrading my CV, I published in A category journal or B category journal. What is important? My research, what is contributing to society? And the moment you see that it is being of some relevance, funding will come to you. That is another model. It need not necessarily be always innovative, but it is a practical application of is important. Now, how do you are street smart to get funding? That is also important. And of course, citation, stakeholders, and balance between teaching and research. As a Vice Chancellor, everybody has to think, what is the balance between teaching and research? Next, please. Faculty must, this is where I thought, what he has said and what he is going to say, all like other people are saying, that faculty must be encouraged to undertake research projects in industries. And recently, UGC has circulated a paper, UGC Industry Link, what are the vibrant ecosystem, how to be built. And that is what we should take advantage, leverage that particular. I think each one of you must read that document, about 6-7 pages or whatever it is. It's excellent. In industries, for example, industry in a big way, in US or Europe, if research has become successful, it is because of the successful industry academia interface. Every university almost has a chair by the industry. That this is what we are. Lupin, for example, say institutes a chair or an endowment for research. And that is why industry is important. So also UN agencies, UNDP, even if, like Madam was talking about, even if, like say, there are a lot of projects in MOEF, Ministry of Environment and Forest, JEF, for example, or a lot of such projects are the UN agency, UNICEF, UNFPA, United Nations Population Fund. They are looking for credible organizations, credible institutions, universities to tie up. We are tied up with UNFPA when I was part of the Indian Institute of Forest Management. Then, of course, we have our own funding agencies, AICT or ICSR or UGC or Internal Donor Agency or DST, CSIR. And interestingly, for example, scheme for promotion of academic research collaboration of Ministry of Education itself. I think very few universities have taken advantage of those kind of, only I've seen IIM Bangalore has taken advantage of this. A few other good institutes have taken advantage of it. But I think this is another, it is there in-house, it's available. Only thing it is a creating an awareness, thinking of, I mean, differently is important, not the linear thinking. You should start thinking out of box. Then funded research must be emphasized for the faculty. In other countries, okay, I'm not very fond of, I'm very proud of my Indian culture, of course. But what I'm saying, as far as academics concerned, there are rigorous system. In US, you cannot survive, you cannot have a tenure track if you do not have research funds under your belt. If you do not have research projects with you, you cannot continue as a professor. As simple as that. Can you do that? Can you take such kind of step? We can, but slowly. We can't do that. Now, a system needs to change gradually and systematically. It cannot be done overnight. And therefore, we have to motivate academic research in the area that of the greatest practical interest, as sir was saying. Now, and the local issues. I'll come to that. I'll give some example also that. Next, please. Now, why funding model depends on what? You know, it is very easy to say innovative funding model. So what does a funder thinks? That is what you have to see. What are the funding sources? What is the funding motivation? Why somebody gives you fund? Raising fund is not an easy task. It takes a lot of time and energy to raise funds for whether it is research, for whether building a infrastructure or whatever it is. And fund mobilization capabilities. Do we have that kind of capabilities? Do the faculty have that kind of exposure to raise funds? Have you trained them in how to write a research proposal to raise funding from the agencies? Have you done that? That's the kind of critical question you should be asking to ourselves. Next, please. Yeah, type of funding. There are different types of funding. There are scientific research, there are development research, there are other kind of things. Because then who are the funding decision makers and what kind of decision they take? Here I'll give an example, or the motivation of the funders or creation of chair professors. This is one of the very interesting, like he gave the example of mutual fund, which Nippon India Mutual Fund. I think some of the SIDBI, for example, RBI, for example, SBI, for example, they create chair professor, and chair professor also carries an endowment. Not only there is a professor, also there is a certain kind of research grant to do research. But very few have leveraged this funding available, because that you have to propose a robust funding research model, that research proposal. Otherwise, they will not be convinced to fund you. That's very, very important. I'll give an example. When I was with Indian Institute of Forest Management, of course, I am currently Vice Chancellor of Jharkhand Lecture University, but my substantive part of life was 30 years in Indian Institute of Forest Management. As early as in 1985, we did a study on, I think those who are in the tribal belt, like yesterday also somebody was narrating our tribal belt. They say there is something called non-timber forest products, minor forest produce as they used to call. Timber is important, valuable is for industries, but there are so many products available in the forest which are so critical, important to survival of the tribal people. So we wanted to take a study. Those who are not nationalized, bamboo is nationalized, tendupata is nationalized, those who are not nationalized, what implication is there for the tribal economy? And believe it or not, I got immediately funding from the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, Ministry of Forest Environment and Forest, because they wanted to find this. So we have to find out what is the motivation of the funder and why somebody will take a decision to fund you. That's important. That's a key question. I'll give another example. When I was with IFMR, Institute for Financial Management Research in Chennai, we used to tie up with what is called JPAL South Asia. That is Abdul Latif Jamil South Asia Poverty Action Lab. And it was anchored by MIT and none other than Professor Abhijit Banerjee. who subsequently got Nobel Prize in economics. And what was the need? Our institute, we had a research center leveraging evidences for development action, and MIT, we collaborated, and we were studying poverty, different aspects of poverty in Odisha, in Madhya Pradesh, in Jharkhand, in central India, which has had the highest index of the poverty. As a result, we got funding from Harvard, funding from Princeton, funding from Stanford. There used to be a principal university, that university, and we had the local investigators and local investigators. Those kind of models can be leveraged, provided you are aware of what is the critical need of that particular state. Like poverty was a major issue. And subsequently, Professor Banerjee went to discover a new methodology called random control trials, RCT, which became popular, and he wrote, and he got his Nobel Prize for this only. Then again, you will think of creation of endowments. Endowments will come again. That what Professor Kulkarni said. If you can show our research, if you can show our inclination of our faculty that they are willing to work on a particular thing, probably some endowment will come. There are different companies are there. And next, I'll come to that. Next, please. Next slide. Yeah. Say, for example, industry academia interface, as I said, UGC itself is encouraging us. So why not take advantage of that? There are a lot of industries, they invest in R&D, research and development. Those who have, I don't have a science faculty in my university, but those universities who have, they can always leverage these industries for R&D, and they are looking forward to some credible universities there who have good ranking, good accreditation. They can invest money to do some good research. Case studies, and I, from management discipline, I have seen a lot of industries have joined hands with us to develop case studies which can be used in the class. Why only use the Harvard case study or some other case study? Why not our Indianized case studies in the management classes? So a lot of industries are coming forward. And interestingly, since 2014, we have a new intervention called CSR, Corporate Social Responsibility. And now there is ESG. And a lot of foundations are willing to contribute to that, doing research on a particular theme, on livelihood, on poverty, on employment opportunity, on volunteering, on health, hygiene, sanitation. You name these social problem development indicators, they are ready to fund. Are you taking advantage of it? Are you talking to the industries? Are you talking to the CSR foundations? And each company has almost 48% companies have their CSR foundation. The rest of them, they are implementing through NGOs. So for example, we had tied up, when I was Dean of the IMT Ghaziabad, another institution, we tied up with Mahindra and Mahindra, and they wanted our students to do internship on sustainability, how these sustainable buildings can be constructed. So we did an intensive, and later on they gave a research project to our faculty. So we have to think differently than what we have been traditionally thinking. And that is another example I just wanted to share. Then thematic call. Please look forward to thematic calls. Call for papers by UNDP, UNAP. They always, from time to time, they'll advertise that these are the kind of areas where we would like to collaborate and we would like to fund.
Dr. Biswas, please
yeah,
try
just
to
2 minutes. So we'll have to take example of that. And last one is coordination with the civil society organizations. It is extremely important that, like in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, there is an organization called Samarthan. They are very good civil society organization. This came to us. So why not let's collaborate on some research? They are doing research. So local issues can be flagged off. Local issues can be taken care of. And that can be studied and all that. And one more example, last example I'll give. Next, please. Enter into MOU with credible organizations and then do research. Joint research, like a lot of university, foreign university collaboration and all that, and they are also willing to collaborate. And then collaboration with government. Unfortunately, many times we forget, and believe it or not, these days government are willing to even fund private universities. They are, provided it's a good theme, a topic, and they need credible organizations, irrespective of private. And though I ask this question, whether they will be able to support or not. And of course, in the university itself, can we have a seed money kind of thing? I give one more example from the current university. Three institutes, I gave 4. We have a RISI project that is called Resources for Internationalization of Higher Education Institutions in India. And on this, we got funding from European Commission. And where There are, apart from foreign universities like from Portugal, Germany, Italy and all that, from India there are some 17, 18 universities. University of Delhi, Pune University, Goa, JNU, there are other universities. We did together this project for last 4 or 5 years and we got a substantial grant for that. The question is, are you able to rise to the occasion? That is internationalization of education is a top priority for NEP as well as AIU and for everybody, for us. All of us are interested in that. And then the question is, after talking about all these things, what should be our action plan? That is my last slide. Next, please. Are you prepared to invest in the faculty, building the capabilities of the faculty? I think this is one gray area and also topmost priority area for all private university or state university or central university. Must invest in the faculty who are capable of doing good research, robust IT system to measure your performance, appropriate communication team, marketing team. No, research also requires a marketing team. Are you able to market yourself to go to the funders to get the right kind of funding? That's marketing, whether you like it, is very, very important. We market our personality. We have to market our institution. We have to market our research. That's important. Formation of research council, this is very important. As I said, state, private, central, irrespective of that, standalone institution, we all can form consortium, bid for projects. Nothing prevents us doing that. And can you incentivize faculty for doing research? Because we are trying to do something. So this is a bigger question mark we can always discuss. And can you also think of in the university research track system, teaching track, research track, which has been discussed in many places. And of course, we must have a dedicated research cell in each university, and that vision and mission should start right from the research scholars to research associate to assistant professor to vice chancellor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Biswas, for your wonderful presentation. And now I think one of our speaker would like to leave since he has to catch a flight, and then we shall move on to our last speaker.
With due permission of the chair, I would like to invite Professor Praveen Misraji, the Dean of Social Science, and one representative from AIU to felicitate Professor Ankur Arun Kulkarni ji, as he has an early flight from Raipur to Indore. Since he has to leave, I will felicitate him. So, sir, please come on to the dais. Anyone from AIU? Thank you, madam. Now the session is handed over to you again.
Now we have the last speaker for this session, and he is Shri Rajendra Tripathi from the British Council. So I will just request him to please complete his talk in 10 minutes.
Respected chairperson of the panel, also Professor G.D. Sharma, Dr. Pankaj Mittal, and my friends from the erudite community. I find myself at a very interesting place today. On one side, I have my professors who've kind of been very instrumental in my journey where I stand today. And I'm asked to talk about what are the innovative funding models that are available to sort of look at the stream of research and innovation that we need to drive today. I think I want to begin by saying that we need to recognize the context in which we find ourselves. And I want to, begin by, requesting you to give a big hand to universities who really, really sort of brought out researchers, intellectuals, and also policy influencers with very little and very limited funds. So a round of applause to all of you, firstly, by being there and being very instrumental in where we are today as a country, as a sort of a placeholder. If I look at, so my role today is to talk about how do international agencies like British Council or others can be helpful in terms of supporting research and innovation. I think our context, as I said, is very important. So today, if you look at the research funding in India and elsewhere as well, you will feel that the large amount of funding that's been given is by the government. So for example, in Indian case, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, they are the largest extramural funding agency that are very instrumental in terms of supporting the research that we do today. There's another spectrum that's also very important to recognize. One is the extramural funding that's been given by the government. On the other hand, there is also industry, which is becoming very, very important. And my predecessors have labored on the fact that it's very important to kind of engage with industry and academia and strengthen that bond. So if you look at some of the statistics, I think India's GERD, the gross expenditure on research and development, has been in the range of 0.6 to 0.4% in the last 2 years. And if you look at comparatively, let's say the other developed countries and countries who invest a lot in research, for example, if you talk about, let's say, Israel, a very small country, has been in the news for not so very good reasons today. But I think Israel is one country that invests a lot in terms of its GDP. In the last few years, 5.3% of their GDP has been invested in terms of fueling research. If you look at South Korea, 4.8%, Sweden, 3.4%, Belgium, 3.4%. What does it indicate? I think as a country, they really appreciate the fact that there is an importance of investing in research, and therefore you allocate funds and you allocate, and in Indian case also, National Research Foundation has been established. My predecessor speakers talked about the commitments, but I think still a lot has to be traveled in terms of the journey by which NRF can become a very important vehicle in terms of supporting research. If you look at the most progressive countries in terms of spending, I think there is also a very strong reliance in terms of how industry supports their cause. So US, China, France, Germany, Japan, I think these are countries where there are a lot of research that happens with the behest of industry academia relationships. And even at the UK's end, I'm very proud to say that there are various programs that we run. For example, you must have heard about UK India Education Research Initiative. That's been a very long-standing program, 16 years in operation. And Nilima ma'am did reference that she was a beneficiary of that program. These are programs that support seed funding, where we give a very small amount of grant, and that grant actually enables both UK and Indian institutions to come together on, let's say, topic. Outside the institution also. So we do also focus outside the institution also. So we do also focus a lot on translational research. Some of you also must have heard about Newton Bhava Fund program. Again, that was a program which was basically to bringing together researchers as well as academic professionals on thematic areas. For example, we did support on food and energy, water nexus, biotechnologies, biochemicals. We also did a lot of work on the pre-pandemic era in terms of supporting development of vaccines, in terms of how you can help sort of understand the range of epidemic as well as how do you prevent it. So these are, again, very important areas where you must be able to find the right cause and align yourself so that you're able to find the right channels which are supportive of funding in these areas. If I had to sort of classify, my predecessors have already talked about various types of fundings, but I want to kind of focus on a couple of examples in terms of how research funding is available. And these are also very innovative models, which are mainly demand driven, market driven, as well as cause driven. So for example, there are a lot of charities who also have started to fund various types of focused areas. For example, you must have heard about Association of Medical Research, AMRC, which is a UK agency. They basically have more than 100 members, and their basic sort of focus on funding and supporting research is on healthcare, basic applied and disease specific research areas. Some of my colleagues who are in the healthcare, they must have heard about Wellcome Trust. Again, it's a very important agency, and they have been funding very, very strong, long-standing research programs, partnerships, collaborations with Indian institutions on very, very focused areas. One thing that we need to remember when you talk about charities-based funding is it has to be aligned to the cause of the charity. Only then you will be allowed to sort of look at how you can support that funding. The second one is UK Research and Innovation Agency, which is called the UKRI. Again, UKRI has been a very, very strong, division of government of UK, which has funded a lot of not only seed research, but also long and medium-term research plans in terms of agri-tech, is somebody was talking about agriculture. So agri-tech is again very, very important area. Medtech is another important area which we have been funding through the research councils in UK. There are 7 research councils which are part of the UKRI network. So if you have any particular thematic area which is aligned to the UKRI's 7 research councils, that again opens a stream of funding for you. DEFRA, again, is another sort of agency of government of UK, which funds very specific programs. Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. Department of Science, Tech and Laboratory, again, is a UK's arm of funding, which is specific to very, very particular laboratory-based experiments. So you can also look at time and point funding that is provided by them. Similarly, natural academies and Royal Society also have their specific programs. Royal Society of Chemistry has been running a program on green chemistry very, very strongly. So do look out for them. They are very pioneering research programs that they have launched, not only in terms of developing research collaborations, but also helping to develop capabilities as a researcher. Has been kind of at the forefront. Now I want to come back to the other side, the commercial funding, where I talked about that. If you look at China or Japan or the Western world, a very, very heavy part of research funding comes from industry, which means that industry has a lot of stake in terms of what happens in research institutions, academic institutions, and academic institutions lend a lot of credibility to sort of test the models, products, and services which industry requires. So I think under GGP, we have experimented. We gave last year about 13 to 19 grants, where the focus was that how do you bring industry and academia together in a more stronger way? Because what happens in industry has to be aligned to what happens in an academic institution. And academic institutions have to lend themselves for prototyping, product testing, life cycle changes, so that industry and academia can design whatever is relevant. Because today, I think the conventional understanding of research has got transformed. Whatever needs to be relevant, whether it is in terms of global challenges, whether it is in terms of products and services, whether it is in terms of transformational aspects, I think we need to understand that the relevance, the translational aspect also drives a lot of funding into the research by industry. My predecessors also talked about endowment chairs. I have an example in mind. So Dangwal School of Medical Sciences has been opened in IIT Kanpur. Now, this has been through the endowment by the Indigo founders who've been an IIT alumni. So I think one other appeal that I want to make here is that Indian universities need to tap into their alumni base. You have very, very strong alumni who are in very, very strong, responsible positions. Please do make your alumni chapters very, very strong so that whatever you need as endowment, as funding, that can be situated by their help through the alumni that you have. So that's something that, again, I want to kind of highlight. And I want to leave with the thought that we've talked about the funding, we've talked about the areas and the realms of funding, but I think today, there is also a research that proves that our research methodologies need to transform ourselves. The conventional way of PhDs, the conventional way of undergrads and postgraduate education that's happening, that also needs to transform. And how you can do that Firstly, I think I talked about the alumni network. You need to set up your alumni network and engage with alumni because they know the outside world better than you. But I think they have also an element of giving back to your alma mater. So I think it's important to engage with your alumni very strongly. And there are lots of benefits. There are lots of strong examples that we see today through that. You also need to align yourself with global healthcare as research, as well as research missions, for example, driven by multinational bilateral agencies, government agencies, because although we may say that the research funding is very limited, but now it is becoming very, very focused. So if you are in the right alignment, you will never be starved of funding in terms of research. So I do sort of advocate in terms of looking at and forming consortiums within your university. And today, by way of technology, you can connect with the same kind of researcher who's doing research in the similar area in any part of the world. And when you connect, you will realize that somebody else has also the similar kind of problems and conditions that you are working. And when you join forces, I think it also opens up doors for commitment and funding by external agents, which may not be in your direct dormitory in terms of your knowledge. And I think it's important that we situate the research to be very purposive. A lot of time, the research is very polemical. It is very, very intellectual. But I think if you are driven by the fact that today what research I'm doing is going to impact either community or a particular segment of society, that will drive a lot of funding commitment. Money will never be a problem if you are purposive, if you are direct in terms of addressing a particular concern. And at the same time, I do advocate that India is also becoming the laboratory for the global North. There are a lot of experiments that the Western countries want to do in India because there are similar conditions. For example, food, energy, water nexus is a very dominant area where a lot of Western funding is coming to see and learn from Indian examples. So I would say that do look out for that as well. So local to global and global to local is going to be the mantra, in terms of how we drive research and drive innovation into research as well. So I'll stop here and thank you very much for inviting me, and I'll be very happy to take any questions. Really thanks to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tripathi. So now we just listen to two more speakers, and I would request the audience, if they have any questions, they can just put them up. Yes, please. Please introduce yourself first and then the question.
Thank you, Dr. Tripathi. It's a very lucid presentation. I'm Nagaraju. Earlier, I introduced myself. Could you just elaborate one point, food, energy, and water getting focused, particularly from the Indian point of view? I think that has an avenues for further research.
Sir, this is basically a kind of a terminology that encompasses a wide range of a spectrum of research: food, energy, and water. Food, what kind of food do we need to have? For example, there is a lot of research which is happening today in terms of how can we, ethically modify food and provide to people and, communities where there is scarcity of food. There is also research that's going on in terms of defense, where the mortality and the shelf life of food can be increased in terms of usability by defense forces in very, very strong and cruel conditions. In terms of food and energy, again, if you look at the spectrum of investment and also return on investment, there is a lot of research that proves that the packaged food industry is going through a transformation. And if we're able to look at areas where we can cut down energy consumption in terms of processed food making, there is also some opportunity there. In terms of water, again, clean water is a reality challenge for us as a country. So under UKERI as well as under Newton Bhava Fund Program, under GGP also, Going Global Partnerships, we have focused on how do we ensure that there is clean water access. For example, in Eastern region, the very, very common problem is of fluoride content being very high. And that impacts young and infants as well as neonatal healthcare also is an area where there are collaborative research that's taking place. So food, energy, water nexus is a terminology which encompasses a wide spectrum of research that's happening currently. And international agencies, Indian research organizations, academics, interdisciplinary research is also happening in those areas. So I can give you more details in case if that's helpful. Thank you.
I can also supplement what he is saying, food, energy and water. See, recently, I don't know whether you have seen that, Bhoj wetland has been taken under Ramsar Treaty, International Ramsar Treaty, and there a lot of funding is coming for that, so for research. And there are three institutes, Indian Institute of Educational Science and Research, Bhopal, then Maulana Azad Technology Institute, and IFM. I think there are three institutes that have been identified to do research. So this is a focused area, water. And then food, for example, now the millets we have done, a lot of studies are going on nutrition. Even there are a lot of studies on food and nutrition and related issues by UNICEF, UNFPA, public health engineering. A lot of funding is available, is what he has pointed out. Thank you.
Any other question? Or observation or comments?
I'm from AIPH University in Bhubaneswar. This is just an observation, not a question. I think you have mentioned a number of funding agencies which are there. Some which I would like to mention, which have been missed out, or maybe I didn't hear them, are NGOs. I have taken funds from CRI for pediatric age group research. And then you have industry like L'Oreal, Dabur, which fund any dermatological research which we are doing. So these are the additional things. Plus some international organizations are there. For example, I know that Canada has one for this water and structural management, and which you can do a pilot study in India and then they give you funds for that. So these are just some more additional, which I think all of you would like to know.
Yes, thank you very much. I think it's a valuable information. Any other comment? So I think I can sum it up. We've had some very good discussions. Well, I would just like to sum it up a little. Well, we had very good deliberations by Professor P.K. Biswas from Jagran Lake City University, Bhopal, Dr. Ankur Kulkarni from Sage University, Indore, and Sri Rajendra Tripathi from the British Council. Our first speaker was Dr. Kulkarni, who mentioned about the sources, some dominant and other resources. He also talked about COVID-19 and the research which was done on vaccines and what should be the objectives of innovative funding models like diversification of funds and collaborations. He talked about the National Science Foundation from USA, about defense research, about DARPA model of USA, about the PPP model, the mission-driven funding as to how we can get funding through mission mode, and the recent US agency innovative ways to fund research. He talked about BIRAC, which is a very useful program for funding research by the DBT, by private entrepreneurs, and also why we should go in for research funding, because today we all know that one of the main factors is for ranking, and of course for our own improvement of our research caliber, we go in for that. But for that, we have to face many challenges, and I think this is one of the foremost challenge, that is how to get money for doing research. Then he also gave some examples from his own university and how he talked about a seed feeder machine. He showed the machine also, and stevia coated mint and some other practices which are being done at that university. And of course, right now they are not getting any funds for that, but they have been assured funds for that. I do hope that he will take this initiative forward, and they can have some more joint ventures and partnerships, especially as they have started with Patanjali. We had the next speaker, Dr. Biswas from Jagran University, Bhopal. And he began with the how and why we should go in for research. What is the necessity? And of course, the points which are also raised by the first speaker, and the university focus. What should be the university focus about multidisciplinary research, about university and research, how knowledge can be disseminated, research ideas can be disseminated, and what is the relevance to the industry, and how there should be a balance between teaching and research, because the faculty members, they have to do both of these tasks, and how together with the teaching they can move forward. Also, there should be research projects in universities because it develops a vibrant ecosystem of research, because when one faculty member gets a research, the other is also motivated and they also try to get a research. And once we have a group of such people, of course, a good ecosystem can be built up. Regarding the funding model, he talked about the motivation. This is also a part of motivation as to how we can motivate other people. It may be through our fellow colleagues, it may be through our seniors, or it may be even through the vice chancellor, who can motivate the faculty member to get more projects. The sources from where we can get funding, and also what are the mobilization capabilities. And also we talked about endowments and investment in the faculty, how we can improve the quality of the faculty so that they can get more funds from different agencies. Our last speaker was Sri Rajendra Tripathi from the British Council, who appreciated the efforts which were being taken by the universities and the vice chancellors to promote research in their respective university. And the British Council has various different schemes like Going Global, UKD program, DEFRA program, and also he talked about certain national academies and what is the percentage of the different countries who are spending on research, as we stand low even to the very small countries like Israel, Korea. So we should build up on these lines as to how to improve our research quality and our research funding. Well, these were very good talks, and I must compliment the speakers for deliberating so well with their ideas. But some things which come out of today's session, I would just like to conclude. That is, I think we missed out one very important part, is that we have many of the universities, they have instruments, but when they go out of order, nothing is done. And they just sit like white elephants because the university does not have any fund for their repair. And we are not getting any money from anywhere. So how to proceed having those instruments in our university, but not being able to do anything about it? So we must have some funds for this repair purpose also. And I'm happy for those who do not know, there is a funding facility given by DST, known in the name of Supreme. And right now also people are applying for these grants under this scheme. And the money which they get from DST, they can utilize it for, but they're giving only for the instruments which have been purchased through DST. So it can become more broad. We must be able to repair our instruments so that we get better output. We must have a proper resource generation. Well, now we always talk about getting funds from different agencies. Why don't we talk something about generating our own funds? That is how universities can generate it. Like we have done, I'm just sharing. I also had a presentation, but because we had such good speakers, I'm not giving any presentation, but I'll just share my views. Like we in our university have 8 research centers. And these different 8 research centers, they have different instruments. So what we are doing is that we are not only our faculty is doing research, we are also lending out our facilities to other universities, and it is available on our website. We get money out of it also. And this also, like those of you who have gone in for NAC, we can also show this figure as resource generation for our university. So here the money which we are getting through our own resources, we can use them for other research and even for the maintenance of the instruments, which I was talking about. We also talked about endowments and sponsorship. So of course, this is very good. And I think much has been said on how we can get endowments and sponsorship from different organizations. And also, I think it is very important that we collaborate with the industries, because industries are doing, many of the speakers and also our participants have discussed on the role of industry. Because I know some of the industries who have even set up their centers in the university. They are establishing their center. They are providing all the facilities there. Only they need manpower. So why not this collaboration? University has a lot of manpower. It may be in the form of students or it may be in the form of faculty. So why don't we just club together with these industries and try to get them? We also talked about the Patanjali and Dabur, Baidyanath. They don't have space. We have space. We can give our land where they can grow these medicinal plants and the products, and our students can do research on that. They will get the publications and they can go ahead and even make some patents on that. So we can do that with this type of interface. We have certain foundations also. We talked about UNDP, UNEP, GEFF, and a number of other foundations. But the main thing is, and I see that the universities are going ahead. They are having MOUs with other universities. They are having MOUs with industries. They are having MOU with different type of organizations. And let me tell you, we recently have had an MOU, I think it's the first of its kind, with the Army, with students who come into the Army and they do not get any higher degrees. So we have just signed one MOU last month, and the other one we are going to sign 3 days later. So here, how we can collaborate with these Army personnel also and develop, not only we are imparting education, and we can even go in for research. So we can have these types of MOUs where we can utilize the facilities with other universities and institutions also. Then we have to also think about outcome-based research. That is, we are doing research. Let us see what is coming out of it. And with that, again, we can generate money and then put it again into research. So we have to think on those lines. And I think we just also, Dr. Tripathi talked about alumni. I think that's really a very good resource for generating funds, because recently, I think Dr. Pankaj Mittal was also there. We were at Taiwan, and we saw, when we visited a university there, we saw that this entire laboratory has been funded by our alumni. This entire building has been funded by our alumni. So why don't we, I think we should tap our alumni also. They are always interested in coming back to their university in some sort of contribution. We should be focused and we should just tell what are our requirements. I'm sure we'll be able to succeed there. And we have to, of course, going global to local and local to global, that is a wonderful national concept, and we should go forward. And of course, NGOs are always there to help us. We have to approach them. But one thing in a nutshell, I would like to say that if you have a craving for research, then funds are not a problem. You will definitely find funds. You only have to go through, and I can even read out, but I don't want to read out all those national agencies, all those international agencies. You go to the website and you'll find them. And you will find these funding agencies. And I also know that we get crores of grant. Let us also see what is their outcome. If we are getting these grants, how much are we faithful or loyal to our grants, and what is their outcome? We should set an example, like we try to compare ourselves with foreign countries. Let us see their outcome and let us try to compare with our outcome. We should, कहते हैं अपने गिरेबान में झांक कर तो देखो, हम अपने अंदर देखें कि हमें रिसर्च के लिए कितनी एप्टीट्यूड है, हमें कितनी क्रेविंग है, हम कितनी करना चाहते हैं. यदि आपके अंदर क्रेविंग है, अवश्य ही ये जो इनोवेशन की हम बात कर रहे हैं, हम खुद इनोवेशन क्रिएट कर लेंगे, कहीं ना कहीं से रास्ता अवश्य ढूंढ लेंगे कि हम रिसर्च और ज्यादा अच्छी कर सकें. So I feel that we should, after this session, develop some sort of craving. And since this is a Vice Chancellor's meet, I must also request all the Vice Chancellors to create this atmosphere in their universities. एक research की craving अपनी faculty में, अपने students में बढ़ाएं. एक ऐसा time उनको allot करें कि इसमें सिर्फ research ही हमें करनी है. और उसमें let me tell you, मैं बहुत छोटा सा प्रयोग अभी हम जो परसों ही हमने किया है, वो हमने किया कि एक गौर गौरैया कॉलोनी, आपने नहीं सुनी होगी, हमने गौर गौरैया कॉलोनी अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी में शुरू की है. वो किस लिए? क्योंकि अपने स्टूडेंट्स को बायोडाइवर्सिटी से अटैच करने के लिए. And now I said that it is not only for you to play here, it is for you to research कि अब फरवरी से इनकी ब्रीडिंग सीजन शुरू होगी. अब आप देखिए कि जहां हमने यहाँ पर सैकड़ों पेड़ काट के ये बिल्डिंग खड़ी की है, इसी बिल्डिंग के एक वॉल पर हमने एक छोटा सा ये प्रयोग किया है. Now the students will find out within 6 months they're going to give me results that if this type of research, it's a very small innovation, कि इसमें हमने कहा यूनिवर्सिटी देगी आपको इन चिड़ियों को पालने के लिए, इनकी ब्रीडिंग पर क्या असर पड़ रहा है, ये जो स्पैरोज आज ड्विंडल होती चली जा रही हैं, इनकी पॉपुलेशन को हम क्यों कैसे बढ़ा सकते हैं. दिस इज अ रिसर्च. जरूरी नहीं है हर रिसर्च में हमें बहुत पैसा चाहिए. वी माइट बी हैविंग वेरी लिमिटेड फंड्स, बट वी कैन ऑलवेज डू रिसर्च. बट I again emphasize that we must have that spark within us that we want to do research. Our innovations will definitely come up and we will definitely find ways to get funds for our research. I wish you all the best, that you get these wonderful ideas to do wonderful research so that our nation, Bharat, can also stand at the international scenario. I would like to thank the President and the Secretary General for giving this opportunity to chair this very important session here. And I do hope that we do come up with wonderful ideas. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
With the permission of Chair, I just want to update the audience that the UKERI 4 call is live right now for Strand 1 and Strand 3. UKERI Strand 1 basically focuses on institutional research partnerships with Government of India. The Spark program is a collaborator with UKERI. And Strand 3 is looking at ECR, Early Career Researcher Bursaries, micro grants that we'll give to students on specific thematic areas. So do look out. 30th January is the last date. So I just thought that, you know, before we leave the stage, I might give you an opportunity as well. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. With the due permission of the chair, I would like to request our team to prepare for felicitation of the delegates of this session. I'd like to invite Professor Anupama Saxena, madam, and one delegate from AIU to felicitate Professor Nilima Gupta, the chair of this session. I would like to invite Professor Mukesh Kumar Singh, sir, and the delegate from AIU as well to felicitate Professor P.K. Vishwas, sir, the Vice Chancellor of Jagran Lake City University, Bhopal. I invite Professor C.S. Bajalwar, sir, to felicitate, Mr. Rajendra Tripathi of the British Council. Thank you, everyone. It's now time to move on to our formal vote of thanks. As rightly said by Madam, universities are ideational institutions where ideas are pitched, debated, counter-debated, so that new philosophies can be created and new philosophers out of that are really born. If you look at universities are the place where researchers can be done and researchers are done. But however, given the compulsions of the time and the limitations of the funding, I am sure that it's now time to cross the Rubicon, to move beyond those traditional areas where research methodologies are framed only to write the thesis. Now we have to move beyond that. And I am sure from this session, which was relevantly themed as innovative funding models for research, new ideas have come out. There were some engaging, minds, those who thought upon and gave their, best out so that you can, collaborate with different agencies. You can look for different other, means through which you can generate funds for carrying out your research. And of course, investing in the teacher is the probably the best model of creating research. Yet I believe that, so many new nuances have come out of this, interactive session. And since this session gave us too much, and we in GGB really believe in both giving gifts and also expressing our gratitude, because I generally believe, and someone has rightly said, that feeling the gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping up the gift and not giving it. So I deem it a kind of honor for me and a privilege for me to express my sincere gratitude to these esteemed panelists who are present here and delivered outstanding lectures on the innovative funding models. And we also, take out so many outcomes from this. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Professor Nilima Gupta, the Vice Chancellor of Hari Singh Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, who chaired the session. In spite of our busy schedule, she could, travel to, from Sagar to Bilaspur. And, for this, we are really thankful to you, ma'am. I am also thankful to Ankur Arun Kulkarni ji, who is not with us, as he has left to, Indore, since he has an early flight from Raipur. We are also thankful to him. My sincere thanks and gratitude to Professor P.K. Biswas sir as well, Vice Chancellor of Jagran Lake City University, Bilaspur, Bhopal, for his innovative ideas and sincere engagements in delivering the innovative funding models before us. I am also thankful to Mr. Rajendra Tripathi ji from British Council, who has provided lot many, new, processes and in fact, lot many means through which we can get, funds from different agencies, particularly from the British Council in engaging research. With this, I thank all the esteemed Vice Chancellor, those who are in this August House, all the teachers, faculties and research scholars of this university as well. With this, we conclude the session here. I invite all the dignitaries outside for a brief tea. All the vice chancellors may go to hall number 1 for tea, and all the teachers, you can, we have, tea arrangement outside this hall. Thank you.